Treasurer Manukian, you can begin.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to wish everyone a good morning and welcome to the California State Resources for Small Businesses webinar. This webinar is made possible through the efforts of the State Treasurer, Fiona Ma. I'd like to thank her and her staff for all her work. I would also like to thank the City of Glendale and the Community Development Department, especially Ani Pogosian, for her efforts as well. I would also like to thank our partners, Glendale Chamber of Commerce, Glendale Downtown Glendale Association, Greater Downtown Glendale Association, Kenneth Village Merchants Association, Montrose Verdugo Chamber of Commerce, and the Montrose Shopping Park Association. Thank you all. Fiona Ma is California's 34th State Treasurer. She was elected November 6, 2018, with more votes than any other candidate for treasurer in the state's history, over 7,825,000 votes. She is the first woman of color and the first woman certified public accountant elected to the position. Treasurer Ma is the state's primary banker. Her office processes more than $2 trillion in transactions within a typical year and oversees an investment portfolio of $124 billion, $35 billion of which are local government funds. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce State Treasurer Fiona Ma.
Thank you, Treasurer Manukian and fellow CPA, for hosting us here today with all of your partners. We have a star-studded lineup of speakers. Since the pandemic started more than a year ago, we pivoted to doing outreach events such as this. So we've done about 150 virtual events, and we hope that you will find it helpful. It will be recorded, so we can all send it out after today's event. And without further ado, I am going to kick off the first speaker, since we do have a number of speakers here today. And then what I will do is, after the last speaker, I will come back on, give perhaps a couple more tips that weren't mentioned by the other speakers, and then we will open it up for Q&A. So again, thank you all for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to Janie Davis. Janie.
Thank you, Treasurer Ma, and thank you, Treasurer Manukian, for having us this morning. It's a pleasure to be virtual in Glendale today. My name is Janie Davis, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the California Pollution Control Financing Authority, part of the State Treasurer's Office. And I'm here today to talk about our small business resources that we administer through the California Pollution Control Financing Authority, otherwise known as CPCFA. I'd like to start out by, the focus of my presentation today is on our California Capital Access Program, but I'd like to mention that we started as the Pollution Control Financing Authority started as a conduit issuer to facilitate low-cost capital through private activity tax-exempt bonds for the acquisition and construction of pollution control projects, water furnishing projects, waste disposal projects, and waste recovery facilities and equipment. That's the garbage trucks that you see in your neighborhood and the recycling facilities. Those are common issuers or companies that participate in our program. Of note, though, as in talking about small business and opportunities for small business, is we do have a small business assistance fund as part of our bond program, and that can help companies participating in the program offset the cost of issuance of the bonds that we would be issuing to further reduce the net cost of financing for the qualified small businesses. So that definitely is a big benefit for small businesses. Next, I'd like to talk about our California Capital Access Program, which is our best known small business program. And we have an umbrella, we call it kind of an umbrella of small business programs under the CalCAP program, the California Capital Access Program. And we have the ones I'm going to talk about today are CalCAP for Small Business, which is perfect for working capital, startup costs, and other typical credit needs of small businesses. Next is our Collateral Support Program, and that provides financial assistance to to small businesses that may lack the collateral they need to get going. They may have great credit, or they but just lack the collateral that the lenders need to see in order to facilitate that loan. Then next, I'd like to mention that we also have a truck loan assistance program that we participate in with, we partner with the California Air Resources Board. And the goal of this program is to get more clean trucks out on the roads, trucks that meet the Air Resources emissions standards. And that's I'm not going to go into much detail about that, but I do have, I'll provide links and information to that program. And then our California Capital, we have a part of our California Capital Access Program is we're running a pilot program through the California Energy Commission to facilitate loans to small businesses and multi-unit dwelling owners to facilitate the installation of electric vehicle charging station at their place of business or in multi-unit dwellings. I wanted to give you a little recap of the loans that we enrolled in Glendale in 2020. We enrolled 4 loans in our CalCAP for Small Business program, totaling $133,000. We had 2 collateral support loans in the Glendale area for $720,000, and we had 30 CalCAP carb loans. So that's the clean truck program, and those totaled $1.6 million. That was the business we did in Glendale in 2020. So a little bit more about the details of our CalCAP program, the purposes, and who's eligible to participate in the CalCAP program. Any business that meets the requirements of a qualified business as far as our program is concerned, and a small business concerned. So that would cover, we can enroll loans for startups, we can enroll loans for nonprofits, and not all programs allow nonprofits to participate, but the CalCAP program does. And the employee requirement is fewer than 500 employees is what we're looking for. So a small business is defined as fewer than 500 employees for the purposes of the CalCAP for Small Business program and the collateral support program. Some restrictions do apply as far as loans that can be enrolled in the program, and depending upon whether the loan is for refinancing, that's something you'd want to talk about with the lender. We can enroll loans for commercial real estate as long as it's for the operation of the business of the property owner. Passive real estate is something we are unable to do. And then the send and vice types of things is something we are unable to enroll loans for. But other than that, we see a lot of loans for a lot of different purposes. So next I'll go into the more details about the CalCAP for Small Business program. And next slide, please. As I mentioned, I'd go in, the purposes that we see our CalCAP for Small Business, the borrowers are seeking support for land acquisition, startup costs, working capital. This would be good for businesses that are adjusting to the new COVID-19 requirements of having to space out their businesses, the 6 feet distance, or needing equipment and the PPP equipment that they need in order to operate. The CalCAP for Small Business program supports loans made to small businesses and provides a loan loss support for lenders to facilitate these loans. The maximum loan amount in this program is $5 million, and we can enroll for loan loss reserve coverage up to $2.5 million. We do provide extra loan loss reserve support for loans to small businesses in severely affected communities, which is generally defined as areas with high levels of unemployment. We have expanded that to provide a supplemental contribution for businesses impacted by COVID-19. The business would just let us know if they've had, what the impact has been, and they can qualify for that additional supplemental contribution. And the lenders set the terms for our loans. We have a book of participating lenders, and they work with the borrowers to come up with the right situation for them as far as their underwriting, and they use their underwriting policies in order to do that. But the loans can be long-term, short-term, or have a fixed or variable rate. It really is up to, that's between the borrower and the lender. I've provided a link here to our program page. It's a one-pager to give an overview of the program. And then also the lender list, as I mentioned, we have a participating lenders that we encourage the borrowers to, small businesses, to reach out to. And here's a link to the link to the lender list for the small business program. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the collateral support program. And as I mentioned earlier, the collateral support program pledges cash to support collateral shortfall for those businesses that might have the credit that they need, but just lack that collateral. And we oftentimes see the collateral loans enrolled in the collateral support program help cover startup costs, franchise fees, construction or renovation or improvements at a place of business. We see bridge loans before permanent financing kicks in, and also working capital and equipment and inventory purchases. These loans tend to be a little bit higher. The minimum collateral support amount would be $50,000, and it would go up to $20 million. For under collateralized loans. We provide an extra cash support for loans enrolled to businesses that are green or manufacturing businesses, to loans, smaller level loans between $50,000 and $250,000, and loans to businesses in severely affected communities and those impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The maximum collateral support we can provide per loan and borrower is $2.5 million. And I've provided, again, the link to the program page and the lender list, which are good resources for looking back to if you want to check out the list of lenders. You will see that there's different lenders enrolled in the collateral support program than there are in the small business. There's an overlap, but there's also different lenders. And we would encourage you to reach out to the lenders in the collateral support if that's what you're looking for. They're really well-versed in what works better for the lender or for the borrower, the collateral support program or the small business. I mentioned our lenders. We also, I've provided some information on this next slide about if you have a lender who is that you're used to working with, you're comfortable working with, that you would like to participate in the CalCAP program, but would like your lender to learn more about the program and enrolling in the program, we are available to provide that kind of training and to talk to lenders and introduce them to the program. We are looking to enroll new lenders all the time. So there would be, we would welcome new lenders and would be happy to work with them. I provided a link here to the one-page application in case we have any lenders on the call today that would like to check out our application. It is a one-page, very simple application, and we do provide training, as I mentioned. This next page is kind of my resource page. I know I've covered a lot of information. I provided my email here. I provided a link to our bond page, which I mentioned early on, and then our CalCAP webpage as well. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or email our CalCAP mailbox. We do have staff in the office here answering questions throughout the day, and we would be happy to answer your question. We are getting going on Twitter, and I encourage you to follow us on Twitter. We do introduce new lenders as we bring new lenders on board and new programs as they come on board as well. Thank you again for your time today, and I'd like to turn it over to Chris Earle with the Office of the Small Business Advocate, who is going to give a presentation on their programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janie. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to speak with you all today. Let's see here. All right, and start off, my name is, again, Chris Earl. I'm the Southern California Regional Advisor for the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, which I'll refer to as CalOSBA going forward. We're located within the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. And let me give you a brief overview of the landscape before we move on to the next slide. California is home to 4.1 million small businesses, which represents 99.8% of all businesses in the state, which employs roughly 7.2 million workers within the state, which is approximately 50% of the state's total workforce. California small businesses are also the drivers of economic growth and mobility, creating 2/3 of the net new jobs, employing nearly half of all private sector employees in the state. So moving on to the next slide, I'll tell you, well, we just moved on here. So I'll tell you a little bit about our office here on this slide. Okay. All right, so here on this slide is the office mission and objectives, and within the CalOSBA office, and I won't read the mission verbatim, but we're the principal advocate in the state on behalf of small businesses. We represent the views of small businesses and interests across the state. We ensure that information, content, and direct support are available to them to help them better navigate the state's resources, programs, and regulatory aspects, a lot of the regulations. And so we support that to help them increase their resilience, especially being resilient to disasters, which is something California faces on a, year-round type of deal. So, resiliency is a big part of the work that we do. And in alignment with Governor Newsom's focus on building a California for all, our office is committed to creating inclusive entrepreneurial and small business ecosystems to eliminate opportunity gaps across the zip codes, race, and genders within the state. Moving on to the next slide. And just this here is a visual of our California Business Center network, and the CalOSBA office and Go-Biz supports small businesses with direct technical assistance. So on this slide here, we have we maintain an extensive resource guide that basically provides the latest actions within the states and more critical resources available. But if you have any questions on that, please visit business.ca.gov/Zendesk, and you can send us a direct email with any questions or inquiries you may have. But I'll make these slides available, so don't feel the need to write any of this down. And so also our office partners with the statewide entrepreneurial task force and small business organizations within the state, as well as corporate partners to curate and amplify information through our website, tools, webinars, podcasts, and community events, obviously. And moving on here to the next slide. I will. Okay, here on this slide, and just to reiterate, we are the advocate and the voice for small businesses, and as part of that, small businesses need capital, and the state has programs to help. And to improve access to capital, our office has advocated across private and corporate philanthropy, the financial sector, and within state government to help promote investments in capital programs to support small business recovery. I won't dive too deep into federal relief, such as the SBA EIDL loans and the PPP programs. In addition to that, we also have state relief, disaster loans, and small business loans, which are available through our California IBank and its lending partners who work directly with our small businesses across the state. And so the state has also invested in the California Rebuilding Fund, and the site for that is caloanfund.org, and a network of CDFIs to help ensure capital is available for the smallest of the small and the underserved, especially for those who are not eligible or lacked access to the federal relief. There are government-backed loan products available through the Treasurer's Office, CalCAP, which Janie spoke about in her presentation. So I won't dive into that, but And then also the more recent programming, which I think everyone's pretty much aware of, is the Small Business COVID Relief Grant Program. And I'll dive into that a little deeper on the next slide. Okay. All right, here. So with the California Small Business COVID Relief Grant Program, and just a quick overview of that, the grants, we've been making grants available up to $25,000 for eligible small businesses and nonprofits impacted by COVID-19 for dealing with health and safety restrictions. The site for that is CAEATFA.com. And just quickly on some of the timelines here. Round 3, which actually ends today, is a closed round for eligible applicants that were waitlisted in the first 2 rounds. So essentially, if you were a small business, applied during either of the first 2 rounds and you received a notification that you were waitlisted for either one of those rounds, this particular round, which ends today, is specifically for those group or that pool of individuals. So this is the group for the waitlist round, and that ends today. And then in Governor Newsom's proposal, we added a round 4 specifically for nonprofit cultural institutions. And please visit the CAReliefgrant.com website for more information on the eligibility and the the requirements so the requirements for what that eligible nonprofit cultural institution is. And round 5 begins March 25th through March 31st, and that will include new applications as well as waitlisted applications who were not selected in round 3. And there'll be a further on round later than that, which will be round 6. But just to reiterate, round 3 will be for waitlisted applicants who were, notified that they were waitlisted in either rounds 1 or 2. And round 4 will be specifically for nonprofit cultural institutions. No small businesses will be a part of that round. And then round 5 will be any waitlisted applications who were not selected in round 3, as well as new applicants in round 5. And so also I want to take the time to highlight our our intermediary lendistry, which is a CDFI mission lender, and as well as our statewide partners across the state, which are over 500, and I can't go through them all, but some of our main partners were the California Small Business Development Center Network, as well as our California Women's Business Center Network, as well as many chambers and small business organizations across the state. So definitely want to highlight them because they've been on the ground assisting small businesses navigate this process and help get these applications submitted. So through the first 2 rounds, we had over 350,000 small businesses successfully apply. And so we're looking, for what those numbers will look like for the subsequent rounds. And so that concludes this slide. Excuse me. And on here on the next slide, excuse me. So again, is this the right? Okay, so yeah, so for we're the advocate in the voice of small businesses within the state, and then on this slide, we're just I wanted to highlight some of our access to capital programs and links for those. But again, please don't feel the need to write any of this down. But then also one of our other priority areas is access to markets. And within that, my specific priority is supply chains and procurement. And we realize that, supporting small businesses isn't just about capital. We also need to focus on building small business revenues. And so we have this access to government marketplace and private supply chains and supporting small businesses within the state procurement networks and things of that nature, both private and public. And so we engage with some of our state partners such as Caltrans and Department of General Services, as well as provide access to agency assigned small business advocates to support small businesses, because there's individuals located at each of our partner agencies to assist our small businesses. So we do prioritize procurement as one of our focal point areas throughout the state and throughout our small business center networks. So I definitely want to highlight that, as well as our e-commerce and global trade are also our other priority areas and sectors. And on the next slide, I'll kind of touch on our e-commerce initiative. And that initiative is called Get Digital California. And that initiative supports small businesses to adopt digital online tools, e-commerce solutions, social media platforms, and other technology platforms to help them pivot and adapt to a new e-commerce marketplace. A lot of our small businesses are, in our micro enterprise or may not have an existing web presence. So this is about helping them take the transition of developing an online presence, whatever that may look like for their business. And so at business.ca.gov/getdigitalca, we are connecting small businesses to offers from our corporate partners and community partners. There's over 40 free or discounted digital products and services for small businesses there, as well as a learning center and boot camps to accelerate an online transition for a small business owner. And finally, through Get Digital California, we're driving our consumers and businesses online through our digital pop-up festivals. So in November, we launched one with Facebook and Instagram, along with our local partners within the Central California region. And so they piloted the digital pop-up festivals in December to support and create online shopping experiences on social media platforms so that Californians could, rally and support these small businesses. So moving on quickly here, my time is running out. This next slide is our CalOSBA preparedness and resilience slide. And this is just providing resources and links for small businesses. But again, please don't feel the need to write any of this down. And the final slide here, and you could bookmark these websites if you want to take a screenshot really quickly, no big deal, but I will make these slides available. And this is the last slide of my presentation. And thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to present today. And following my presentation will be David Gibbs, Program Manager of the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority.
Thank you very much and good morning. And for some reason to the host, my video is not up and running. So if you could get that, I would appreciate it. Otherwise, first of all, let me just start by thanking State Treasurer Ma and City Treasurer Manukian for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is David Gibbs. I am the Program Manager overseeing the design and implementation of the there we go, thank you. Design and implementation of the California Hub for Energy Efficiency Financing Programs. I'll apologize at the outset, we have a lot of acronyms here, and so I'll get through those just to provide some context. We'll talk a little bit more about, so the California Hub for Energy Efficiency Financing is also known as the CHIEF. We'll talk more about one of the CHIEF financing pilots here in a minute. The CHIEF is a division of the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority, or CAEATFA. CAEATFA is housed within the State Treasurer's Office under the leadership of Treasurer Ma. CAEATFA works collaboratively with public and private partners to provide innovative and effective financing solutions for California's industries. We assist in reducing the state's greenhouse gas emissions by increasing the development and deployment of renewable energy sources, energy efficiency, and advanced transportation and manufacturing technologies, all to reduce air pollution, conserve energy, and promote economic development and jobs within the state of California. And today I'm going to talk about two of CAEATFA's programs that help small businesses financially and help to support a green economy. And next slide, please. The first program I'd like to talk about today is our Small Business Energy Efficiency Financing Program, or SBF. Well, first of all, we're aware that small businesses right now have a lot of pressure on them. and that energy efficiency is not necessarily what they're thinking about or top of mind. However, for those small businesses that need to replace their HVAC system or water heating or lighting, doing so through SBF can help lower operational costs. Through the Small Business Energy Efficiency Financing Program, businesses can access up to $5 million in financing with extended payment terms. Because our programs provide finance companies with a credit enhancement, those financing companies are able to approve a very wide base of businesses, as well as provide better rates and terms than businesses would otherwise qualify for. And this can translate into lower interest rates and or longer repayment terms than our finance companies would offer on the open market if you were to just go to them off the street. And so who's this program for? It's for small businesses in your area who receive energy from either Southern California Edison or SoCalGas. And please note that there are some restrictions on electric measures for properties receiving service from Glendale Power and Water. Both property owners and businesses who lease their space can qualify, and young or newer businesses with less established credit can also apply. Next slide, please. Through the program, businesses can upgrade their entire property or finance single pieces of equipment. Measures including lighting, refrigeration, HVAC, food service equipment, and much more. Financing can also be combined with utility rebates and the utilities 0% on-bill financing program. Projects that have been financed through the program. One is a dairy in the San Joaquin Valley that accessed $395,000 to replace and upgrade lighting and well pumps. They also took advantage of PG&E's rebates, and so that resulted in additional savings to the customer. The other project is a bakery that in Southern California that accessed $145,000 to do duct sealing and replace hood vents. And they also included some remodeling that took advantage of the ability to include non-energy upgrades as well. If there are contractors listening, or if you know contractors who do energy efficiency retrofits or install energy efficiency measures, we'd love to have your participation in the program. And next slide. The program has several finance companies to choose from who offer a variety of options for customers. Regardless of the finance company, customers receive benefits that separate their small business financing offering from what is normally available to the public. And some of those benefits include lower interest rates, longer payback periods, and just offering financing to those businesses that would otherwise not qualify. Next slide, please. If there are small businesses who need financing, or if you'd like more information about the Small Business Financing Program or any of the other programs offered through the Chief, please go to gogreenfinancing.com and you'll see our finance companies and all their offerings there. And Go Green Financing also has a Spanish language translation. So if for those monolingual Spanish speakers out there, or people who are more comfortable with Spanish language websites, that is an option for you as well. Next slide, please. And switching gears now, I'd like to speak a bit about our sales tax exclusion, or STE program. And the STE program is for it's another program offered for manufacturers through CAEATFA. This program provides a way for manufacturers to purchase equipment without paying sales and use tax. And that works out to about an 8 to 10% savings on average for awardees. The program is available to startup businesses or established businesses looking to expand. Applicants have to submit an application to CAEATFA and receive approval from the CAEATFA board before they can use this tax incentive. Each project is reviewed to ensure that there are fiscal and environmental benefits for the state. Companies have 3 years to use the incentive, and there is a requirement that 15% of the approved amount be used within the first 18 months. Businesses can access up to 10 million in STE for each project. And there are 4 pathways to qualify: the alternative source pathway, recycling, advanced manufacturing, and advanced transportation. And what do these mean? The alternative source pathway includes or is for producers of fuel or energy that replace fossil fuel sources, as well as producers of energy efficient products. The advanced transportation pathway, here the project must be identified by CAEATFA as including emerging commercially competitive transportation related technologies. Examples are producers of electric cars or aircraft, or batteries used for zero emission vehicles. Recycling. In addition to commonly understood recycling projects, this pathway includes companies that process recycled feedstock or use recycled feedstock in the production of another product or soil amendment. Some common examples of types of projects that would qualify through this pathway include materials recovery facilities, composters, and tire recyclers. And finally, the advanced manufacturing pathway. In this category, a company's manufacturing process should be more advanced and sustainable than previous practices or current industry standards. Specifically here, CAEATFA is looking to see if less resources, such as energy and or water, are being used, or if the process is producing
I believe we may have lost David due to connectivity issues. David, are you still with us? No. Okay, we can just move forward to the next presenter until we get David back on the line.
Good morning, and that would be me. My name is Jonathan Herrera. I am the outreach manager for the CalSavers Retirement Savings Program based here out of the State Treasurer's Office. Let me start by saying thank you to our host, Treasurer Manuki and Treasurer Ma, and thank you to everyone who made this webinar possible. And thanks to everybody who joined us. I'm excited today to get to talk to you guys about our program. CalSavers is the state's new retirement savings program for private sector workers that don't have access to a savings program at work. We know that many employers are facing unprecedented challenges right now. So we want you to know that we are here to help employers by offering extra support and flexibility. But we're proud to be promoting this program during this period, because I think now more than ever, we see how vital it is for all of us to have financial resiliency in the short and long term. And CalSavers helps workers on both those measures. With so many people working to overcome the financial setbacks caused by COVID-19, more employers that I connect with have been focusing their efforts on helping employees improve their financial wellness and save for the future. And one of the great ways that employers can help is by adopting a retirement program for their employees, whether that's sponsoring a plan on your own or facilitating CalSavers for your employees. So CalSavers was created by legislation back in 2016 to address this retirement savings gap that exists in California. What we know is that half of Californians are projected to retire into economic hardship. That's if they can retire at all. And we think that one of the key drivers of that fact is that there's 7.5 million Californians who are going to work every day, playing by the rules like you and I, but lack access to a workplace-based retirement savings program. And that's important because the research also shows that workers are 15 times more likely to be saving and be on a path towards retirement security if they have access to a payroll deduction savings program at work. So back in 2016, the legislature passed this legislation. It was Senate Bill 1234, did a couple of important things. Number one, it did create a new mandate on new employers, and we're going to talk about that in more detail in just a second. But number two, it gave us the green light to create this CalSavers program as a solution to that new mandate. Next slide, please. Just before we get into the details on the mandate, just want to talk a little bit more about the access gap we've done a little bit of extra research in Glendale, and we've identified more than 1,400 employers that can, that are eligible for the program and can benefit, representing more than 38,000 employees. You'll notice on the chart that we have that broken down by waves, and that's based on the compliance deadlines for the program, which I'll talk about in just a second. But you'll notice with the wave 1 employers, their deadline passed just recently. And good news, we've got more than half of them in compliance. So we've got some work to do in Glendale, but we're looking forward to helping to spread the word about it there in the city. So next slide, please. So going back to this mandate, as I said, any business in the state of California with at least 5 employees, if you're not currently offering an employer-sponsored plan, you're going to be required to register for CalSavers and facilitate the program for your employees. So what that means really is employers will have the choice of either going on the private market and finding a employer-sponsored retirement plan, things a lot of us are familiar with, like 401ks, pensions, simple IRAs, SEP IRAs. We actually have a list on our website of all the different programs that that employers can use to be in compliance if they don't want to use CalSavers. And then, of course, the other option is to register for CalSavers. So as I mentioned, the deadlines roll out. Well, we're in the middle of a 3-year phase rollout. The first deadline, as I mentioned, passed last year, September 30th. Businesses with more than 100 employees who aren't offering a retirement program should have registered. The next deadline is actually coming up in a few months. Businesses with more than 50 employees will need to either, begin sponsoring a plan or register for CalSavers by June 30th of this year. And then the last deadline is for businesses with 5 or more employees. You'll have until June 30th of 2022. But it's important to note that when we opened the program statewide on July 1st of 2019, we opened it for all eligible employers. So if you're an employer with 5 or 6 employees and you want to get started, we're ready to help you get going. Quick note for employers with less than 5 employees. Keep in mind, we measure this by looking at the average number of employees that you report to EDD. We did that to help businesses that might fluctuate between 5, 6, go down to 4 every once in a while. So we made an average of the number of employees that you report to EDD in a year. But if you do have 4 or fewer employees on average, then you're not subject to the mandate. But we did open the program for individual participation, which means that your employees or you yourself are self-employed, own a very small business, or contractor, gig worker. You can go to our website, calsavers.com, and begin saving, open your own account, and begin saving whenever you're ready. Next slide, please. So really quickly, I know I don't have time to go into great detail on the program, but I would like to assure businesses that when the legislation passed back in 2016, one of the first things we did was get together a group of stakeholders, particularly business owners and groups that represent them, like chambers and industry associations. We wanted to know what it was about the programs on the existing market that made it difficult for employers to sponsor this kind of program for their employees. And over again, we heard the same 3 hurdles. They're really hard, they're expensive, and we don't want to take on the fiduciary liability. So we designed CalSavers to address all 3 of those things. We tried to make it as easy as possible for employers to facilitate. There are no fees for employers to facilitate this program for their employees. And of course, because employers are not sponsoring the program, employers don't take on that fiduciary liability. That responsibility falls on the 9-member public board chaired by the state treasurer that I work for, and our small staff at the state treasurer's office, and all of the relevant contractors that we've hired to operate the program and manage the investments, so that employers don't have to take on that burden. And when I say we tried to make it as easy as possible to facilitate, facilitation really requires just 4 easy steps from employers. You register by that state required deadline and set up your account, which is an easy process of setting up an online account, username, password, security questions, and tell us a little bit about how you do your payroll. And then employers will submit and maintain a roster of their employees. So all of your eligible employees, you'll add them on a list on our website. We will do all of the communication with the employees so that, again, you don't have the responsibility of handing out a bunch of forms and collecting a bunch of forms. Your employees will communicate directly with the program about how they want to participate or whether they want to participate. They can, of course, opt out if they don't want to participate. And then you as the employer will just submit their contributions, payroll contributions that you deduct from their payroll as part of your existing payroll process for each pay period. And we've worked with employers with all types of different payroll arrangements. And by and large, the CalSavers process fits pretty seamlessly into an employer's existing payroll process. So that's it. And that's really the only maintaining or the only ongoing responsibilities for the employer is maintaining that roster and then continuing to submit employee contributions for those of your employees that are participating for each pay period. So next slide, please. I wish that I had time to get into great detail on the program, but we need to be quick today. So I wanted to let you know that we do have tons of resources and client services available. It starts with our website, which is available now, all of the landing pages in 10 languages. We have a great customer service call center that's managed by our program administrator, dedicated lines for employers and savers, bilingual English and Spanish speakers available most of the time, plus access to a language line so we can work with folks in whatever language they feel comfortable. And then one thing we're really proud of is offering one-on-one support for all employers. We've got a dedicated onboarding team to help employers when they register, get on a path towards compliance. And then we have a 7-member field team based throughout the state of California, 2 people based in LA County, to offer one-on-one support for employers as they facilitate the program. But most importantly, you know, as I said, we don't have time to get into great detail on the program, but we do offer a minimum of 3 webinars per week that are open to the public. You can go to our website, calsavers.com/events, and see a list of all of those. If you want to spend some more time with us learning about the program, that would be wonderful, and we'd be happy to have you. So hopefully this was enough to pique your interest a little bit, and we'd love to connect with you to tell you more about the program. But next, I will be handing this presentation over to Megan Hodap, who is a loan officer with the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank, or IBank, to tell you a little bit more about what they have going on there at IBank. Megan, they are all yours.
Thank you. Am I good to go, or did we want to hand it back to Dave if he's back on?
I think we should just keep going, Megan, due to the time. Thanks.
Perfect.
And then I had completed my presentation. Thank you, though, Megan.
Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure. So my name's Megan Hodap. I am a loan officer with the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank. Next slide, please. So IBank was created by the legislature in 1994. We have a variety of different services. We provide loans to municipalities for infrastructure development. We provide bond financing. We provide small business support. We have the broad authority to issue tax-exempt bonds and taxable revenue bonds. And then we have a number of different programs to support California small businesses. So that's the Small Business Finance Center, which is actually what I am a part of and what I will be speaking about in depth today. Next slide, please. So the Small Business Finance Center helps support businesses throughout the state with a variety of different credit enhancement programs. So we have a small business loan guarantee program that is designed to assist businesses that are experiencing barriers with accessing capital. Accessing capital can be a difficult time for small businesses in general. Lenders don't like to lend to small businesses, new businesses, kind of a variety of different reasons. So the loan guarantee program is here to provide a credit enhancement to mitigate some of that risk that lenders feel when lending to small businesses. We also have a small direct lending program called Jumpstart for new businesses, for low wealth entrepreneurs in low wealth areas of California for loans up to $10,000. And then we also have our disaster relief loan guarantee program. Next slide, please. And we also have our farm loan direct lending program too as well. Sorry, I forgot about that one. Next slide, please. So this is just kind of an idea of how we have performed in the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program in the past. So in fiscal year 2019-2020, the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program worked with our partners to guarantee 470 loans. These loans have been used for a variety of different things, from business expansion, inventory, working capital, lines of credit, agriculture, disaster relief. These loans resulted in more than $165 million in loan guarantees, which supported more than $240 million in loans. This contributed to an overall injection of over $303 million into the small business community in California. Some of our small business owners have reported more than 15,400 jobs were created and retained as a result of these loan guarantees. Next slide, please. These are some of the terms for our traditional loan guarantee program. So we can guarantee up to 80% or $1 million of a loan. The guarantee term can be up to 7 years. You can do a longer loan for sure, but the guarantee will only be good for 7 years. We consider a small business any business with less than 750 employees. And there is a small fee to use our program. There's a 2.5% fee on the guarantee amount, plus a $250 documentation fee. And we also have our disaster relief guarantee program, and we can go up to 95% on the guarantee for that one. So next slide. This is just an example of kind of a case study of how our program works. We had a client, they were actually the 1,000th small business loan guarantee that we provided. It's a company called Stasher Bags. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of them. So originally they're kind of silicone, plastic-free, reusable sandwich bags and types like that you can put vegetables, sandwiches, anything like that in. She was having trouble getting access to capital. She kept being declined by banks. And so she worked with one of our partner FDCs and was approved for a loan with a loan guarantee by IBank. And she eventually was able to expand her business enough to go on Shark Tank. And now the business went from a small online only shop to selling all over places, Target, Amazon. I've seen it in little specialty shops all over Sacramento. So just kind of a example of how our small business loan guarantee program can help the business to grow. Next slide, please. So we wouldn't be able to facilitate our program without our partner financial development corporations. We have 7 of them throughout the state of California, and they are kind of our boots on the ground. They are located in the communities that they're lending in, and they have relationships with banks. So as I said before, in fiscal year 1920, we made 470 loan guarantees. The FDCs kind of work to help process the loan guarantees, the disaster loan guarantees, jumpstart loans, and then a lot of them do a number of other different things. Some of them are also CDFIs, community development financial institutions. Some of them are part of the Small Business Development Center network. So they kind of have a variety of different hats that they wear, but our program would not be possible without their assistance. Next slide, please. So as of last year, we launched the COVID-19 Disaster Relief Guarantee Program. It's similar to our traditional guarantee program. However, we were allocated an additional $50 million from the governor of California last year. In fiscal year 1920, we had completed 141 disaster guarantees that we conditionally approved, which was more than 5.2 million in loan guarantees. As of December 30th, 2020, we had conditionally approved 939 COVID-19 disaster relief guarantees for a loan amount over $35 million and retained 4,689 employees. This program has a target market of borrowers who are either women or minority owned businesses or businesses that are located in low to moderate wealth income tract areas. So we currently are at about 87% with targeting those areas. And a lot of these loans are the smaller, like $50,000 and under loans to kind of help the really small businesses that have been left out by some of the other COVID-19 financing programs. Next slide, please. Additionally, we helped launch the California Rebuilding Fund. The California Rebuilding Fund is a public-private partnership that's goal is to increase capital and support the smallest businesses in communities across California. Next slide. We found that there was an issue with some of the CDFIs accessing capital. They wanted to be able to lend to these small businesses, but they needed capital themselves in order to lend. So we worked with these participating lenders listed here, along with the supporting partners to kind of launch this California Rebuilding Fund program. Next slide. So this is a specific loan product that's tailored to meet the credit needs of small businesses during recovery. So it's a fixed interest rate of 4.25%. It's a 60-month term loan. The use of proceeds can be for working capital, payroll, operating and emergency maintenance, utilities, rent, supplies, etc. There is no collateral required, and there are no upfront fees. The loan amount would either be the lesser of $100,000 or 3 times the average monthly revenue prior to COVID-19. This can be found through caloanfund.org. It's a, next slide, please. It is a one-stop kind of application portal that people can go into and enter in their information, and then they get matched with a lender, and then they go from there in order to get the loan. Next slide, please. I think that was the end. I just got a note saying I had 1 minute left, and I thought that I had more slides. So this is my contact information. Thank you again for the invite to come out and speak today. I always enjoy doing these webinars with Treasurer Ma. This is my contact information. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. This is my job. I'm happy to answer questions, guide you in the right direction, link you to the resources, all of that. So thank you again. And I'd like to turn it back over to Treasurer Ma to finish up. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, team. And as you can see, we've got it down pat, almost an hour to the couple minutes, but I do just want to wrap up with a couple of other items that were not mentioned earlier. My external affairs team has really pivoted to creating COVID outreach resource guides that are updated on a real-time basis. And those are on my Treasurer website, www.treasurer.ca.gov. When you log on to that website, you'll see 2 buttons. One is the official COVID-19 website, and then the other one is my COVID-19 resource guides for small business, individuals, nonprofits, seniors, food access, and tax relief. So again, they're updated in real time, so you're not applying for a federal, state, local, or even private program if there is no more money in it. I also set up a dedicated email, and that is askfiona@treasurer.ca.gov. And Catherine Asprey monitors that email address, and she's responded to over 850 COVID-related emails. So if you didn't get your unemployment check, or you threw away your stimulus prepaid card, or you haven't heard back from the Franchise Tax Board about your refund, please feel free to reach out to us. A couple other things. The U.S. Small Business Administration is also a great resource for many different loans and grants, as well as free consulting services. And that website is www.sba.gov. It was mentioned our small business development centers across California. These centers are funded by the state and also the U.S. Small Business Administration. They are free services for all of you, consultation, one-on-one, go in and ask them to help you with existing programs, fill out applications. So they are really available for you. We also partner with the Small Business Majority. They've done a number of websites with us, and they are also a great resource with very, very knowledgeable consultants on hand. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is our public-private partnership. It is called onwardca.org, and that is the website. It is a one-stop shop for Californians who have lost their jobs due to COVID-19. So for those of you who are looking for available opportunities and resources, I would encourage you to go to that website as well. So thank you, Treasurer Manukian, for giving us an opportunity to present to your local community. And we are all here available to help. And as you can see, we have a lot of resources, programs, services at the state level, and we really appreciate this opportunity to highlight some of those programs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Treasurer Ma, and all the staff. And I think there's a lot of information, and I believe the information will be available after the webinar for anyone who's interested. I'm interested. And we can move on to questions and answers, actually, right? Yep. Okay. I do have a question if there are no questions. Actually from David Gibbs, and I don't know if he's still on. I see that he's still on.
I'm here.
Hi, David. You were referring to the SBF program that is for the customers of PG&E, Southern California Gas, and Edison, et cetera. I was wondering, what about local utilities if someone is a customer of it, like Glendale Water and Power? would they be eligible for the SBF program?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. The short answer is likely yes, although some restrictions do apply for municipal utility district customers. However, as long as a customer of Glendale Water and Power is also receiving their gas service from the gas company, they would likely qualify for the SBF program with some restrictions.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I have another question from Megan, actually. I know from IBank, I know that Megan represents the small business section of the bank, but you did mention something about loans to municipalities for infrastructure. Did I hear that correctly?
Correct. We do have a.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
That
Okay.
is not really my
All
expertise.
right.
Okay,
All right.
I could probably jump in a little bit
Okay.
because I sit on the IBank board. So for any municipality, special districts, school districts, government entity, if they are trying to expand their infrastructure, specifically IBank is available to provide low interest, long-term loans to get those projects done. So let's say you want to improve your wastewater treatment system because you have 300 more units coming online, residential units, so you could apply to the IBank for those type of loans.
Okay. Very good to know. I know there's a number of staff that are attending today. I'm sure they would be interested in some of the programs some of the IBank programs, actually. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Irma.
Yeah, no problem. And since you're in Glendale, Treasurer, the California Earthquake Authority, I'm also a member of the California Earthquake Authority, and we are waiting for another tranche to reimburse individuals who bolt and brace their homes. They are $3,000 grants, and they're basically reimbursements for people who are going to, create hardening infrastructure for their homes. So as soon as we get the money from the federal government, I usually announce these type of programs on my Twitter feed, and that's at Fiona Ma on Twitter, when that program will be open again.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Ani, do you see anything that I haven't seen in terms of questions?
Treasurer Manoukian. So yes, there was a question for those of you who don't have access to the chat. So Alyssa asked, if you have a home-based business, can you qualify for the SBF program? And the answer is yes, home businesses do qualify, and you can reach out directly to David Gibbs, and his information is in the chat, but his email address is david.gibbs@treasure.ca.gov.
Yeah, and I also believe the federal PPP payment protection plan also is eligible for home-based businesses, sole proprietors now, and they still have money, as well as the EIDL program at the federal level.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other questions?
And a lot of questions also have come in about nonprofits. Are nonprofits eligible for a lot of these funding sources? And yes, so if you're a nonprofit, please check, or again, you can always send me an email, askfiona@treasure.ca.gov. But we really have expanded a lot of the state programs to nonprofits this time as well.
Great, thank you, Treasurer Ma.
Very good. Very good, Madam Treasurer and all the staff and everyone. Thank you very much for attending. And I have to say that our current treasurer is the most active treasurer in the communities and locally that I have ever seen, and I appreciate all their efforts. She is truly like a superhuman person on all the boards that she sits on, and I sit on one of your boards, the live board, and I appreciate that. And And I must say, if anyone has any questions, she's very accessible and very transparent. Feel free to reach out to the treasurer or any of her staff with any questions that you might have. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Treasurer. Thank you. All right. Thank you to the team. Talk to you
See you,
soon.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.